Hello YouTube, what's going on? Today we're doing an interesting box from HackTheBox. The box name is APT, which has recently retired after laboratory and academy. This box is rated as insanely hard, and actually it is hard, but it was a great learning experience. You will see many concepts that are great taking a look and learning. So let's dive and first understand what are the steps that we need to take to root this box, and then we take a deep dive to the practical concepts. Okay, so as you can see, first we will enumerate MSRPC on port TCP 135. Now, what's actually MSRPC? It is the endpoint mapper for Microsoft Distributed Object Model. You can read more about this in Google. So basically, when this is running on port TCP 135, we will have to enumerate this. We can use RPCMap, and then we will use the IO Explorer, or I will name it. It's originally actually not like that. I couldn't remember its name correctly, but it's kind of Object Explorer or Object Exporter actually. So Object Exporter Resolver, we will use this to find the addresses or the interfaces. So actually when you enumerate the Microsoft RPC or the endpoint mapper, you will find all of the mappings running on the Windows. So by finding the mappings, we can find active virtual machines, active hosts, active network interfaces. So from that, we will find an IPv6, which we will use for further enumeration. The next step is to enumerate the SMB shares. Okay, from the SMB shares, we will find a Backup.zip. The backup file contains, actually it is password protected, so we have to crack it. It contains Active Directory database and registry file system. We will use both files to dump the hashes with secrets dump. With secrets dump, we will get list of users and hashes. Okay, next step, we will use the Kerbrute. Kerbrute is used to identify the valid users on the Active Directory controller or machine. So by finding the valid users, we can know which user to use and which hash to use. So basically, we identify the active users. We try to find valid pair of credentials. So by finding the active users and pairing the results with the already harvested users and hashes, we get one user who is active and we already have their hash. So we try to log in with the CrackMapExec with that active user, but we fail. We try to brute force the SMB on SMB protocol with the CrackMapExec. So CrackMapExec is used to, sometimes we can use that to brute force usernames and passwords on SMB. So given that we have list of hashes and we have one active users, we can use that to see if the hash that we found here, okay, can be used to log into the SMB. But also we failed. The last hope was to use getTicket. So we use that to generate or send a request to the Kerbrute Authentication Center. The request is attached with the username who was active and the hash of that user from this step. And we get their ticket granting ticket, which will be used for later attacks. So given the ticket we have just harvested, the valid pair of credentials, we can use that to peek into the registry file system on the target host. So we can use a tool called reg.py from Impacket, and with that done, we get a list of plain text credentials. And then we use Evil-WinRM to log in with that plain text credentials. So logging in with Evil-WinRM, we get the first shell. Okay, the next step is to escalate your privileges. To escalate the privileges, we have to find the admin hash. Okay. Now you can use Mimikatz, but if you're running from Kali, I prefer to use other methods. So there is PC history, PS history. Take a look at the PowerShell history, and from taking a look at the PowerShell history, you will find a command that the admin has performed using PowerShell, the command meant that they switched from NTLM version 2 to NTLM alone. And NTLM alone has several vulnerabilities. Among the vulnerabilities is NTLM leak. So we can leak the NTLM hash of the admin. How? I'll explain in the video. And then given the NTLM hash that we have harvested recently, we can perform domain controller synchronization attack. So we can dump the admin hash. Now, actually, here you may ask me, what is the hash that has been leaked here? I tried to log in with this hash to an admin account, but I failed. So I performed the domain controller synchronization attack to use this hash along with the previously acquired hashes to find the hash of the admin. So difficult machine. I'm not saying that it is realistic 100%, but it is still a great learning experience. Okay, so let's switch to desktop and conduct the first step. Why is this happening? I don't know. Okay. All right. So sudo nmap-sv-a 10 apt.htp or first 10 to 113. So we start with the nmap scan. Okay. Since I already mentioned that nmap scan will reveal TCP port 135, let's proceed to enumerating that port. So there is a tool called RPCMap. RPCMap is used to list all of the mappings, and interfaces running on the RPC. Okay, this is the nmap scan. So basically, as you can see, we have 135 port MSRPC, Microsoft Windows RPC. So we will use RPCMap, okay, to list all of the mappings on the endpoint mapper. And, you know, it's endpoint mapper and comment and component object model. So we will list all of the mappings on that service. To use that, we will use RPCMap. So sudo python 3 RPCMap is already there. Okay, so what is actually this one? So this is called the string binding. The string binding is composed of this and the target IP. So running this command will reveal all of the mappings. Among the mappings, we see distributed component object model, MSDCOM. So, which means that we will have to use the, let's get back to the board. So coming back, we will use, after we use RPCMap, we will use this tool to resolve all of the network interfaces. So since I don't have the tool, I will have to download this. Let me grab the repository of this tool. Okay, sudo git clone. Okay. So cd to io. So, okay, let's run this Python script. Python 3 -t and define the target IP. Two and three. All right. Now this will result in multiple addresses. From the addresses, there is an IPv6 refused. 10.10, 10.10, not 11, so let's correct this. So as you can see, we have two interfaces. The address is APT, IPv4, and we have, as you can see, two IPv6. So take this one, and I scan this one with Nmap. I scanned this beforehand because it took a lot of time, so that's why I did this here. So this is the Nmap scan, -T for IPv6, the address, all ports, T4, scan using Nmap scripting engine, and reveal the version of the services. As you can see, we got the list of the ports, and judging from the outputs, we can conclude and deduce that this is Active Directory running on the machine by the name. As you can see here, it's very self-explanatory. And here we have the common name, the DNS name. So we have to, or you have to add this address to the host file. So cd sudo etc nano host file and add apt.htp local to the host file and attach the, or put in line the IP address, IPv6. Okay, so given that we have a new address, right? So let's go back to the board. So here we scan the SMB shares. I'm trying to be as much brief as I can because the box is too long, and if I'm just listing and laying down all of the steps that worked for me. You can just go and experience and practice with all of the other boards and do your practice, but showing only the solution because this is a very long machine. Okay, right. So let's get back. See here. These are the list of ports. Okay. So let's enumerate now the SMB, given that we have 445. So get back here, cd back, cd HackTheBox, cd apt, clear. Okay, so sudo smb client, and the command already written for me. So as you can see, I will enumerate the shares. Supply no password. Okay, as you can see, we have backup share. We will just dump this share. SMB client apt.htp /backup. So this is the backup file after we have just downloaded it. As you can see, it's here. Now we can unzip this file by issuing unzip backup. But there is a password, so we need to crack the zip password. So we can crack the zip file, okay, using John the Ripper. So basically, I will go to my notes and see here where is password cracking. Looking for zip. Okay, so we can use this command. So we dump the hash, and then we crack it with John the Ripper. So sudo zip to John. The file is back up, and then we dump the hash to a hash file. Let's cat hash. So this is the hash. Now we just have to crack it. John hash, then dash dash word list equal user share. We use rock.txt. And this is the password. The password is I love you so much. Okay, so sudo unzip, here backup. The password is, prefer to copy that and paste it, much better than writing it from scratch. Okay, so what do we have? We have Active Directory and we have Registry. So it seems to be the backup file is a backup for the Active Directory environment. So let's get ourselves familiar with the files. cd Active Directory. So we have NTDS.dit, which is the Active Directory database that contains information about the users, the groups, objects, and the password hashes. Now don't forget that we still also have the registry. Now if you get back to the board, roadmap, so we will dump now the hashes. Given that we have the database and the registry, we do secrets dump to dump the usernames and their hashes. So I will switch now to Impacket. So from here, let me get this out of the way. It's really annoying board actually. All right, so sudo python 3 secrets dump. Okay, let's modify a little bit on the input and the arguments. So secrets dump, first we have the -NTDS, which is the file that contains the NTDS database. So in my case, this is in, let's copy the path. /NTDS.dit and specify the registry file -system . So in this case, let's find out the registry what's inside this directory. cd registry. So it's the system that we need. So here, go system registry /system. Okay, and then we specify the hashes option -hashes. So lm hash and also NT hash, and lastly specify local and output file. Say it, name it APT. Let's see here. So now it's looking for the hashes. And indeed, we retrieved the list of the usernames and their hashes. Now, these are the list of the usernames and their hashes that are taken at the time of the backup. Now, much could have changed or may have changed after this backup has been taken, which means that the list here that's being displayed in the output doesn't mean that all of the users in this list are actually active. That's why we will need to use Kerbrute to identify the active users. So we will leave this to run, and we will extract the usernames on a separate list and the passwords on another separate list. So we create a list of usernames and create another list for the password hashes. That's great. So it seems like we retrieved a huge list of usernames and hashes. So now we'll have to do a little bit of cleaning and isolate the usernames and the passwords. So let's see if we have the output file, apt.ntds, clear text, Kerbrute, apt output, looking for this file. Okay, so I think I'm gonna need to rerun this command. Okay, so here instead of output, I'm gonna pipe this, redirect the output to APT this time. Permission denied. Okay, so we have the output file apt. Let's copy this file to the directory of the machine. So sudo cp apt to okay, get back to my user. Okay, so going back to the machine directory here, we should have received the output file that contains the database, the usernames and their hashes cats, apt, and indeed we have them. Let's do a little bit of data cleaning here, clean our data. So we will separate the usernames from the hashes. As I said earlier, our objective is to create a list for usernames and list for hashes. Let's use grep for that. So grep, and let's see the patterns in this file. As you can see, the patterns are like this. So you have the username, right? And one column. I think we have to use less because I need to see the actual usernames, what are the patterns, much like. So less APT. So for example, administrator password, there is a column, and then you have the hash. But as you can see, at the end, you have 3 columns. So maybe we'll have to use a combination of awk and grep. The separator will be the columns. Okay, let's try this. So grep 1, 2, 3. The file name is APT. Pipe this to awk awk-f. And then we will print the first, as you can see, the first field, which happens to be the username. So in this case, it will be print 1. Nope, we have 1 here. 2 users. ls get users, and indeed we have successfully separated the usernames. Let's make sure that the administrator is within this list, so less users, and indeed we have the admin. Okay, now we have to do the same, but in this time we will have to separate the passwords, say with me, the hashes. Let's take a look again at the file, less users. Oh, no, not this one. Less APT. Let's see here. So, again, the separator will be the 3 columns, but this time we'll print the 3rd field, which happens to be the hash. All right. So cat apt or first grep, the same, 3 columns, and then use well, in this case I think we're gonna need to use cut. The delimiter is 1 column and the fields is 3 or 3 to 4 because we have 2, and then output that to hashes. Let's see if this works. I think we forgot to specify the file name, which is apt cat hashes. Yeah, not bad. All right, so what's the next step now? So we have successfully separated the usernames from the passwords. We have now to use Kerbrute to identify what are the active users or the active usernames on the domain controller. So for this, we will cd back desktop, cd back, cd Kerbrute. So we use Kerbrute for this. So just type sudo Kerbrute and then specify user enum. So because you will want to enumerate the usernames, that's the domain controller is http.local --dc apt.http.local, and then we'll specify the list of the usernames we have just created, which are the users. Okay. This will take time, so we'll have to use more threads. Dash T could match. Let me check it out. So dash T dash DC. They should match, right? So if we get back to the console, so here, ambiguous option. So we have DCIP dash user. I think we're using the wrong script. Downloads. So let's copy that. Into oh, come on. Okay. CD back. So here specifies username dash T dash dash DC, the path to usernames list. So actually it goes the same command. But here we will just replace Kerbrute with okay. Let's see what are the active users. So these are not active users. Wrong realm. Try adjusting the domain. Just a second. Let's change this one to HTTP local. It may take some time, but we got some hits. We have the administrator, and we have APT, 2 active accounts, valid usernames. So if we get back to the board now, so So after identifying the active usernames, okay, using Kerbrute, we have to see or compare from the current existing list of the hashes, what are the possible valid hashes for these usernames. So here, as you can see, I tried with CrackMapExec, okay, but it doesn't work. As you know, the users that are found by Kerbrute, we have their hashes already in the list. So if we try to log in with CME, it's not going to work. If we try to brute force with SMP, it's not going to work. So our only bet is to use getTGT. I'm just going to explain how to use that. Actually, it's a script to get the ticket granting ticket of the users, supplying that with the hash. So actually, only 3 usernames are valid. I'm going to stop that because these are the only usernames. So we have 3 usernames now. Let's use, or let's take a look at getTGT and why do you need to use this. So this is getTGT, and actually it is included in the examples file of Impacket. So we will use that to find the ticket granting tickets. Okay, so how to use this tool? If we go now to the right pane, let's locate that. See here, getTGT. So it is actually here. So Python 3 get t. So how it works? So we supply, given a password, hash or AES key, it will request a TGT and save it as C cache. Okay. So let's take a look at the existing hash from the existing Active Directory database that we have just retrieved from the SMP share. So cd to HackTheBox, APT, okay, so we have hashes, users, APT. So here cat APT and grep this user. So we have 3. We have AA3B435, 2DE, So from this list, as you can see, we will use this. Okay, let's copy that and get to the back to the tool, get TGT and specify the hashes, dash hashes, paste them here. Of course, we have to define the user and Active Directory, apt.http.local http.local/Henry. What was the username? Vincent. Error connecting. No name or server is not known. Let's try APT dot. Kerbrute session error. KDC error wrong, realm reserved for future use. So it seems like these are not the correct hashes. So they might have changed after the time of the backup. So what we will do here, yes, we have a username and we have a list of hashes. So we will try to see if one of these hashes is the correct one, because the CTF designer may have changed this to one of these hashes. So we have to use some kind of loop. And at the same time, we use get TGT. Once we get one hit from the get TGT, it means that this is the correct hash. So for this reason, I created a simple bash script to loop through the active users and the corresponding hashes. So here is the script. So we define first a variable called users to hold the list of the active users. Define another variable called hashes to hold the list of the hashes we have just downloaded from the machine. And then we create the first for loop. The first for loop is to iterate and loop through the list of the users. Okay, so for every user, we will create another loop to loop through the hashes. And for every user and hash, we will use get TGT to generate a ticket. Once a valid credential is captured, the granted ticket will be generated and saved. Give it permission to run. So when you run the script, it will iterate through the valid users and the hashes, as I said, and try to perform ticket granting tickets using the get tgt.py from Impacket, and then it will be saved to a file called ccache. Now, I will not run this now because it will take a lot of time. So after running this, you will see a file called ccache here, cat ccache, and you will see the valid hash. So we will use this hash for further attacks. Now, I'm curious to see if this hash is already existed in the current hashes that we have retrieved from the machine. So if we type cat hashes and grep this one, so it's actually existed there. Let me try on this one. Maybe you can see what are the, which user. So by finding the hash now, we can continue the testing. Okay. Now, before continuing the testing, I was just curious to know what. Ya Allah. من الأول عيد الأول. So by running the script here, it will take some time to finish, but at the end, you will get a file called ccache. Inside the file, ccache is the hash you're looking for. So cat ccache, and this is the hash of the user Henry Vincent, who is an active user on the Active Directory domain controller. Okay, so now by having an active hash, we can try different things. One of the things is to log in with Evil-WinRM, but the user Henry Vincent doesn't have the permissions to log in with Evil-WinRM. For this reason, I'm going to refer to the notes here, and after finding the valid user or valid credentials, we will use that with the tool called Registry.py to to list all of the registry keys and see if we can find plain text credentials in the registry keys, which is something so common. Okay. back to my board that is making me crazy. Okay, so, but before conducting this attack, I was curious enough to see if this hash that we have found uh, to which user belonged instead of Henry Vincent. So I can find that by typing cat hashes. Hashes is the list of the original hashes we have, or the backup file that we have retrieved from the SMB share. I want to see this hash to which user was assigned instead of Henry Vincent. Grep. Okay, what user? All right, let's try with the oh no, come on. I can't see the user. Okay, so maybe I'm using the wrong file. Let's look into APT. The APT contains the NTDS database, which contains the users and their hashes. So if I grep or cat APT, grep, so this hash actually belonged to this user, Stafford AN. So which means that after the backup has been taken and thrown at the SMB share, the password of the user Henry Vincent was changed to match the password of this user. Okay. Let's go back now to the Impacket tools and look through the registry in the machine. So given that we have an active credential, we can just use reg.py, reg.py, http.local, define the username, which is henry.vincent at apt.htp, and then dash hashes, just cat the hashes. Okay, now we define query as to indicating that we want to query a registry key. So dash key name. So first let's start with the HKCU. Dash S. Most probably we will have many listings here. Error connecting to okay, with the command ready to run. Let's see here. So we started to retrieve the keys on the registry. Okay, so which one to enumerate, which one to look for, to look in. So basically, you can look at all of the keys, but the one that worked is this one. So back to the command, take this one, enumerate softwares. Oh no. So we have to put 2 backslashes. Okay, fine. So under software, we have gigantic hosting management system, Microsoft policies, registered applications, VMware classes. Okay, so this is the one, obviously. Paste it here, and don't forget 2 backslashes. So here are the plaintext credentials I was talking about. So we have the username and we have the password. Now, and only now, we can use Evil-WinRM to log in and have the first shell. So sudo Evil-WinRM. Modify some stuff. Yep. So here's first -i http with local -u Henry Vincent Vincent underscore ADM -p the password. Okay. Check your host file. Oh, this ATP, APT. And indeed, this is the first shell, as you can see, PowerShell. And the user is Henry Vincent. Okay, dir ls, what do we have here? The first is to grab the, user flag. CD desktop. ls cat user.txt. Okay, that's the first flag. Back to the notes. So after getting the shell with Evil-WinRM, our next target is the admin NTLM hash. The first step is to look in the PowerShell history. Why PowerShell history? This is a scenario. It's one place to look in, actually, the PowerShell history, to see the commands that have been issued by the previous users or the administrators. It's the same as looking in the bash history file in Linux. So it's one of the ways to inspect, and if you're looking to find some answers to questions about the activities of the admins or the users of the current system. So in the scenario, that is how it worked. Okay, back. And my stupid board again, coming back and forth. All right. So to inspect the PowerShell history, we will go back one directory, cd app data. So in here, we will go to roaming. And then Windows PowerShell. Okay, see, here we have the PS read line, cd ps read line. Let's see if the console is here, the console file. Okay, it is actually here, type. Okay, let's see what was the last command. So the last command was starting from here. Cred equal get credential administrator. Okay, invoke command dash credential cred dash computer name localhost script block. Okay, seems like they're changing control set control SA compatibility level type value 2. So this has to do with changing the method. So by creating the LSA key here and mentioning the compatibility level, they're changing something from value 2 to none. So if you look at this resource, the network security line manager authentication level. So here you'll see all of the possible values administrator could switch from to change the authentication method. NTLM, NTLM, and LM, NTLV2, NTLM alone. So what did the administrator do here? They changed from NTLM2 to nothing. And NTLM nothing, or without NTLM no version, not version 2, is known to have several vulnerabilities. One of the vulnerabilities is to leak the hash. So whatever the hash that has been changed to, that whatever the hash existing on the system, we have to just leak this hash starting from this thing we have learned. So how to do this? There is a page on GitHub that explains all of the methods to conduct NTLM leak attack. So we have PDF file, doc, icon, directory. The one that's interesting is the Windows Defender method. So here you get Windows Defender to scan a file on your server, okay? And while the scanning is in progress, it will leak the hash, simple as that. So all you have to do is to issue this command. Of course, this will be issued from the box itself. And of course, you will have to host a file on your system. Maybe you have to use SMB server. And then you can use Wireshark on the responder to listen for the traffic traversing between you and the box where the Windows Defender scanning is taking place. And after that, you will capture the hash. Okay, so let's create a testing file, place the testing file in an SMB server, and let Windows Defender scan it. So the first step is to create a file. Any file would do it. So first a new tab, let me go here. Okay, so back. All right, so go to HackTheBox, APT, touch test defender.txt. Okay, now we will have to create a file or directory. Let's say sudo make directory smb or shared. Copy the file to shared, cd shared. Okay, we have the file here. Now head to Samba configuration. Samba. Let's change the all the way down. We create my share, for example. My share okay, comments. Let's say HTTP, and here the path, which is in, let's see here. /shared/best defender, or like that, only the shared folder. Okay. Define the permissions, read only equal no, and we allow Windows Defender to access by saying guest okay equal yes. Okay. Restart the Samba server. Next, do a simple restart. Okay. Let's make sure the permissions are correct. So ls cd back. So this is no, we have to change the permissions. Okay. Maybe we can do chmod -r on the shared folder. Okay. Now back to the box. So now we have to conduct the attack. So we will see here. So the Samba server is ready and all set. Okay, we will share the file and get Windows Defender to run the scan with this command over here. But because this is a hard box, and I tried this before, this path didn't work because it's assuming that Windows Defender is in program data. What worked for me is assigning the path where Windows Defender, let me explain the path better than saying. So here, to execute the path or the command, just type cmd /c/, and this is the path. So basically here, we execute this for all users, okay? And then we define the Windows Defender, of course, x86, and run the tool. So what's left here is to define, get back to the command, the scan type, and the file. So we can copy all of that, and here, okay. Of course, don't forget to type the IP address 10.10.14.5 of the Samba server. Shared test defender txt. And on the right, we will issue a responder to listen for all of the traffic on the interface. So sudo python3, okay. And here, just enter. Now it's listening. Now what's going to happen? When Windows Defender starts the scan, the NTLM version 1 hash will be leaked and we will be able to see it here. So click on enter. Let's see now. And as you can see here, I tried running the query several times until it worked, and I received the hash or the NT hash that has been leaked. As you can see, it's version 1. Now we use this NT hash to crack it. So basically, because it's DES, and we have to crack this in order to get the correct NTLM hash. So what we will do here, we will switch to Google and go to CrackSH to crack this. Get cracking. Okay, so here what we will do, we will type NT hash, get back, copy the hash all the way till 84. So it's free. Put your email. Submit. Now your job has been queued. You receive a confirmation shortly and a result email once it's completed in the next few days. To check the status in the meantime, you can visit. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna wait for a bit and get back to the video after I receive the hash. Alright, so I paused the video a bit after I received the hash. Now, after having received the hash of the user APT, we will perform something called DCSync attack. So basically, it's like you're saying to the domain controller that I want to sync all of the hashes with me. So let's share all of the user hashes, assuming that you are a domain controller and you're supplying the hashes of the users. You're saying to the other domain controller that you are a valid domain controller. So the other domain controller, which in this case it's APT, will sync all of the hashes with us. But this attack is conditioned, or the stipulation for this attack to be successful, which is that the first condition, you have to have valid hashes for active users. In our case, we have the valid hashes for APT and for the user Vincent. So cd to Impacket, and we will use the secret stump. So sudo python3 secret stump, and let's start changing on the parameters. Given that this attack is different, the parameters and arguments will be different. The first thing is, let's remove these suggestions. So first we type apt.http.local / the username is apt, 1 backslash, because there is a $sign here, we will escape this, at apt.http local dash hashes. Now it's time to put the hashes. We have two hashes, the one with Vincent and the one for the recent user, which is APT. So paste, cannot open secret stump, no such file or directory. How come? Oh, we have to go to examples, I guess. Okay. Let's see if we can dump the hashes. These kind of attacks are not preventable, actually, because once you acquire valid credentials, you will be able to perform DCSync attack. You can prevent it, but it's very, hard. Okay. See what we have. So we're looking for the administrator hash, which is here. So take this one, and now you can log in with Evil-WinRM. .u administrator -h supplied, and you are done. So this is the administrator user, and we have successfully bound the machine. cd to desktop, cat root. Okay, let's see if our work is correct. Mostly it is correct. The level of difficulty, actually it is very difficult. Took a lot of time to complete, so I will rate this as 9 I'm sure there is more insane machines than this one. So submit flag. Okay, so that was it.